While the history of translation is probably as old as the history of languages, dating at least 4,000 years back, localization is young. Why? Well, mostly because localization is one of the byproducts of computer technology as we know it, born around the 1970s and grown at speed thanks to the internet. During the 1980s, US-based computer hardware and software firms started venturing into international markets. For example, Sun Microsystems, the American company that created the Java programming language, entered the European market in 1983 and expanded to Asia and Australia 3 years later. Microsoft, on the other hand, began expanding in Europe in 1979 and opened its first overseas sales office in Tokyo in 1987. The international expansion of software and hardware developers triggered the need to support other languages. This expansion created new challenges. As technology companies learned, translating software was far different than translating something like a book. Unlike a static printed book, computers and the software that runs on them are constantly being updated. For example, help documentation on a web page could be updated in response to user feedback. This need for fast localization was a huge challenge. But there was also a way to efficiently solve this challenge, because technology also allowed companies to streamline and automate the translation process to deliver translations more efficiently. Companies dealt with this challenge in different ways. Some created in-house teams of translators and engineers. Others asked their international distributors to handle the localization. The companies that decided to create teams of in-house translators soon realized that there were growing pains associated with managing localization. Launching a product successfully in a different part of the globe required more than just translators. Companies needed to have engineers with internationalization skills able to develop software with the world in mind, a translation team to actually translate content, and most likely project managers to manage the whole process. Localizing products became a huge endeavor. Many companies realized meeting the growing need for localization was beyond their core business expertise. Because of this, companies took what they learned from the first localization attempts in the 1980s, and in the 90s, the most common solution became to outsource localization to external service providers. Translation companies saw this opportunity, and many of them rebranded their offering to cater to localization industry's needs. Inc., a European translation services network now called Linebridge, was one of the first companies in the world to offer outsourced localization services. These services included, in addition to translation, localization engineering, desktop publishing, and management of multilingual projects, the full package of services needed to launch a product internationally. The 1990s was also the decade when the main translation technologies were introduced, like machine translation tools, computer-aided translation tools, and so on. At the same time, localization companies and professionals started organizing industry associations and conferences. Little by little, the localization industry was taking shape.